All right, tonight we've got Forrest Neal here. He's a best-selling author, a speaker, a volunteer meditation coach at the Meditation Center of Alabama. He's been collaborating with professionals in the medical community, doing lectures at universities, and he's written a couple books, and he's really sort of tying this whole thing together, the benefits of meditation. I wanted to actually read the book title, The Power of Meditation, Zen Guide to Relieving Stress and Living a Peaceful Life. I feel like this is a really important topic, and it's always good to talk about it. No matter how much I learn about it, I can't really articulate the benefits of meditation, so it'd be good to hear some more of this. Welcome to the show.
Thanks again so much, guys. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm very much looking forward to presenting some pretty cool information to you guys.
Yeah, well, that's cool. We decided to do video, and we'll have a chat with you first, and we'll ask a few questions, and then we can get into your presentation. So, Darren, what do you want to start off with here? A little bit of background on the meditation, how we got into meditation, stuff like that?
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good spot.
All righty.
All right. So, I got into meditation. It's a bit of a story, but I'm going to make it a little speedy for you guys. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 7 and at 17, and I was prescribed a lot of medications to allow me to focus and relax while I'm in class instead of being like a hyperactive kid. So throughout my life, I have been, taking these ADHD medications. I've been taking, the most popular ones like Adderall and Vyvanse and, any ones that you can name. I guarantee I've tried it, and I've taken, the highest dosages. And at one point in time, I was actually prescribed the strongest ADHD medication, and I was prescribed to take it 3 times a day.
Is this back in the 90s, would you say, or?
Yes. Well, I just turned 23, so I was first prescribed, I guess it would be like early 2000 maybe,
okay.
2001. But again, like I said, I was diagnosed again at 17, so this is sort of, this is sort of happening, now, it's something that a lot of people are dealing with right now. But so, like I said, I was prescribed the strongest medication, and I was prescribed to take it 3 times a day, which when you take it 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you don't feel like yourself. I mean, you obviously don't, because you're on a drug. And for you to every day for several months at a time constantly be in an altered state of consciousness because of these stimulants, it really takes a toll on your mental and physical health. I mean, I lost 40 pounds in 4 months when I was in high school, and I just mentally felt like I wasn't going anywhere with these drugs. It seemed like they were almost like a superpower at first, because I felt really good when I was taking them, but afterwards the come down would just like, it would make taking the medication almost like not even worth it, because you're just so cranky and in a bad mood. And like I said, I'm dealing with this 3 times a day, every day for months at a time. And it just got to a point where I knew I needed to figure something out, or else I would be hospitalized for all of the side effects that I was experiencing with the medications. So I started looking into healthy and natural techniques that could help me to support and replace eventually my ADHD medication use. And that's whenever I met the lead instructor here at the Meditation Center. And I'll have a few slides to go over this a little bit more to show you guys. But her name is Dr. Nina, and she's a psychiatrist. And she sort of specializes in helping people in my circumstance where I'm like overprescribed and I'm looking for a way out. And she taught me meditation, and she taught me it in a way that allowed me to use it like a tool, just like someone would use the prescription drug to help them, get out of whatever state of mind that they're in, or to help them focus. She taught me how to use it in a way that I could at any moment decide how I wanted to feel and what I choose to focus on. And it's just an unbelievably powerful exercise with so many practical uses, even in the modern world. Besides spiritual practice, there's so many more applications that it can be used for, and I hope to explore some of those different applications in the presentation that I'll give you guys.
Nice. Does that also talk? Do you also talk about the different types of meditation in that presentation?
For the most part, I give at the very end. I give a technique that I've personally used, and that I have helped other people with. I'm the lead volunteer coordinator at the meditation center, so I'm the person who introduces new people to meditation, and so I'll go over the practice that I use, and it's pretty general. It's not specific, because meditation, there's no one technique for everybody. Everybody's different. So
what do you do?
I can.
What's your what do you do to the person that's kind of brand new and maybe a little hyperactive? Not hyperactive phically so much.
Are you
but
hyperactive? Or are you trying to talk about yourself?
But mentally. If
Darren walked into the room, what would you do?
All right. Well, these are great questions. Because you're essentially asking me to help somebody who is in my situation, because I was that guy who you're talking about. And there's a great sort of routine that we follow at the meditation center, where we like to do a few exercises or a few stretches before meditation. And so usually we'll do something like yoga or qigong or something, simple, just for a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10, because what you will often discover when you're trying to relax is that there's something going on with your body that's preventing you from relaxing. Mm-hmm. Like there's a pain in your hip, or your jaw feels tense, or something along those lines. So having a relaxed body is the beginning of having a relaxed mind. So I would first begin by doing a few exercises with the person, and then I would go over a really cool facial massage technique that I use. I actually have special tools that I use to perform this facial massage, and it's not necessary to have the tools. You can use your hands to do it, but having a facial massage before meditation is another just great way to just calmly and relaxingly move into a restful state of mind.
Oh, that's kind of like having a hot shower. Because whenever I have a shower, I'll sit there and just let the hot water come out. I have a spot on the back of my neck, and then I'll go right in my face and just.
And it reminds me of the Monroe Institute.
Yeah.
The Monroe Institute, all those famous meditation CDs and the HemiSync and all that. They really get you to do that body. I can't remember what it's called, the 10 plus, or and they've been doing this for decades, where they get you to relax your body to that level 10 or whatever, and then your mind is set for relaxation.
Yes, it's really it's something that I do for every meditation. And one thing about it is that once you have practiced meditation enough, you can sort of skip the exercises, but especially for a beginner, I would say that's definitely something that someone must do in order to give yourself the best chance of having a relaxing experience. Go ahead and just do some stretches, and then move into the meditation.
The reason I asked about the different types of meditation is because I've been trying different ones recently, and I participate in a recovery group that uses Buddhist mindfulness techniques and stuff like that. And I find that, there's all these different ones, but my go-to seems to be back to like just the traditional Buddhist mindfulness, watching your thoughts like clouds through the sky and that type of thing. And I wondered if you found that, like, is that one of the types that you think is more powerful? Or is there other things? Because I hear all these other spiritual teachers talking about ways to incorporate breathing and building up your chi and getting your chi flowing and all this stuff. So that's kind of why I was asking about that, because I'm trying all these different ones to try and figure out what works for me and my girlfriend as well.
Oh, absolutely. Something very interesting. I actually went on a meditation retreat for 2 weeks this last summer, and I was taught by a monk named Venerable Nicholas, and this is for the Dhammakaya tradition of Buddhism. And he has a PhD, but one of the very interesting things that he did was that he sort of gave us a personality test that was based on Myers-Briggs. And from the personality test, he was able to individually, for each person, give them a meditation technique, such as focusing on breathing versus focusing on a mantra versus focusing on just simply observing what's going on around you. And it's different for everybody. So, and I'm going to talk a little about him in this presentation, but, I really think that there are meditation techniques such as Vipassana, and that one's a pretty popular one that, people talk about. But, for beginners, I was told by Venerable Nicholas, and I agree with it, that Vipassana is a high-level meditation that it's sort of difficult for a beginner to pick up. But what we like to do is just make it as simple as possible and just relax as much as you can. Just focus on relaxing. And then the meditation part comes in when you notice that you're no longer relaxing and that your mind has wandered off into different places. Maybe you are, thinking about something that somebody said to you and it just like hurt your feelings, or, maybe there's a big project that you have to do in the future and it's just causing you a lot of anxiety. We just like to simplify the whole meditative process and just let that stuff go. But when you notice that your mind has wandered off and you've started to think about those things, the noticing part actually is an opportunity where you can make a new decision and begin returning back to your relaxation practice. So that is in a nutshell what we try to do. Just strengthen the ability to notice or to focus your attention so that you're aware when you're no longer focusing on what your original practice was, which in this case, it would be meditation.
That's awesome. I like that idea. Because when I'm in there at the beginning of a meditation, I'm trying to relax. I think I'm relaxing and I'm really not, because you can always go deeper. I swear you can always go, like, just let everything go. Breathe into it, softer, deeper.
There's a joke in there, but I'll leave it on the table.
Yeah, no, it really is weird. You think you're relaxing, but you can always get more relaxed. Or for me, anyways.
Absolutely. No,
maybe
absolutely.
That'll be like my New Year's resolution is I'll try it out. Well, I'm eager to start to take a look at this presentation.
Okay, good. Let's do it.
All right, very good.
So we'll probably lose sight of you because we're gonna have to watch your screen. So.
Too bad, because you're a handsome fella, so wave goodbye. We'll pop back on with
see you later, guys.
With a bit more Forrest before we say goodbye. So that maybe I'll change this screen up a little bit too. Bear with me, guys. My YouTube skills are slowly getting better, but they're not quite there yet. So I have the option of a full screen presentation, or let's do this one here. Or do the little igloo oval on the bottom. Okay.
All right. Let me know whenever you are ready to begin.
I think, we're ready to rock. Ready, James?
All right.
Ready.
Okay. So this is a powerful meditation technique that that we can all use in our daily lives. And I'm talking about people in the modern world. I'm talking about, everyday people like you and me, where we're driving in our cars and, occasionally somebody will cut us off and we will get really mad and we'll yell some words at them. These are meditation techniques that anybody can use. And these are meditation techniques that can allow you to have a level of success with whatever you choose to focus your meditation on to an unbelievable level. This is, what I would like first for you to do is sort of just imagine the current situation in your life that is causing you the most stress and anxiety. And for most people, that's the workplace. Because we have bosses or we have, clients that we have to deal with or, whatever it is. For most people, it's the workplace, but it could also be like if you're a parent and you're getting your children ready for school in the morning. That's definitely a very stressful time. Or maybe when you're traveling on an airplane or on a boat, a lot of people experience anxiety, during those moments. But what if you could find a way to spend less time in a stressful and exhausted state of mind and more time in a positive and energetic state of mind? And that's essentially what meditation can provide for you in whatever situation that you choose to use it for. So in this presentation, I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of a background about why meditation is important and how we can use it in the modern world. But I'm also going to be sharing with you guys a few different techniques that you could use at the very end that will allow you, if you're a complete beginner, to start off on the right foot.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So this is just a survey that was taken in 2011 by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and they surveyed that the United States contains 5% of the world's population, but that we consume 75% of the world's prescription drugs.
Wow.
That's an unbelievably staggering number, and this was in 2011, and it has most definitely increased by then. There's many more surveys that were taken, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys this one. But I was one of those people, who was taking the prescription drugs, and I don't necessarily blame myself for being one of those people that, takes prescription drugs because, I didn't know what else to do, I mean, at age 7, I didn't really have a choice. I mean, my mom just took me to a doctor because my teacher said that I was a hyper kid, and my mom, just listened to the doctor and have been taking medication, basically since then. But there are, so many people who are like that, and meditation is something that can very much help those people. People are experiencing a lot of anxiety, like maybe in class, and there's a big movement right now of college students and high school students who are taking ADHD medications or other, the smart drugs or, whatever it is. And I think that there's a much better way. I know there's a much better way because I've personally experienced what it's like to be, this guy on the screen where he's getting an F and he's trying to figure out what he's supposed to do to solve the problem. And, there might even be several people in the class who also are taking, the ADHD meds. And they're telling him, this is what I do, and it's pretty helpful to me. And I'm in no way saying that the ADHD meds don't work. I'm not saying that at all. They do work. But they almost work too well in a way that you begin to become mindless as to the effects they're giving.
Yeah, it's like they shut off, So to some extent, it's almost like they shut off being a kid. I know a couple kids that are on them, and it's just kind of, I knew them before and I knew them after, and it's like, sure, it's like
eventually they get numb.
They listen now and all that, and they're doing better in school, but they're missing something at the same time.
100%. And something that I've never heard anybody say this before, but I think that it's almost poetic the way that it worked out. But in the movie The Matrix, there's a scene where Morpheus is giving Neo the decision: you can choose the red pill or the blue pill. And the red pill takes you down the rabbit hole, and the blue pill makes you just forget about everything and go back to the frustrated way of living. And the funny thing is that the most popular ADHD meds are blue pills. So it's almost like,
is Viagra a blue pill too?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying that that the directors of the movie in any way created that purposefully. I don't know, but I always thought that was a funny connection because it makes so much sense. They go so well together. The idea of just forgetting everything and going back to the rustle and bustle way of living. Versus, exploring new routes and maybe not being able to go back to the old way of living and the old way of thinking. So, that was just something interesting. But, anyways, like I said in the very beginning of this podcast, I was somebody who was taking all of these drugs, and I was, becoming extremely unhealthy, and I needed to find a way out. And that's whenever I went to the Meditation Center of Alabama, and I met Dr. Nina Nimitz, who is the lady who is sitting in the meditation posture right next to me in this picture. And this is me whenever I had shorter hair, so not sure if you'll be able to recognize very well, but that is me. And after practicing meditation for a few weeks, I really began to feel like I'm getting it and it's making sense, and I'm finding a way to practice outside of the meditation class, like in the morning whenever I wake up or at nighttime before bed, and it's actually helping me. And so, that's whenever I began to wean myself off of the meds, because I could see, these meds. At first, I thought they were giving me a superpower, but once I learned meditation, it's sort of like I realized that the meds weren't giving me anything that wasn't already inside of myself. I just didn't necessarily know that I had the power that I had. And that's something that, a lot of people who are taking ADHD medications, I think they really need to hear that, because I hear it from so many people that it's like a magic pill, or that it allows you to accomplish amazing things. And certainly, yes, it does, but it doesn't mean that you didn't have that ability to accomplish amazing things within you already. You just didn't find the way, to do it on your own just yet, So that's what meditation has done for me. And meditation, at the Meditation Center of Alabama, we help, so many people with drug addictions or maybe alcoholism or, depression, anxiety. There are so many ways that meditation, from a medical standpoint, can be highly beneficial. So This was the lecture that I gave. I was invited to speak at the University of South Alabama, and I was sponsored by the Meditation Center of Alabama. And I was invited to speak by Dr. Nina because she knew my story and she knew that I could be helpful to other people. So I spoke to people at the university for around 40 minutes, and it was just an unbelievable presentation. And I spoke a little bit about my book. This is actually The Power of Meditation: Beginner's Techniques for Higher Levels of Energy, Focus, and Creativity. This is the second version of my book. It actually just came out a few weeks ago. I had just completed the second edition, and so I need to update it back on my website. But I believe if you go on Amazon, which is where you would find it, that it will be the updated version with lots of extra information inside of it.
Is that the only place to get the book? I know we've had some authors direct our listeners away from Amazon because they get better margins through their personal website or things like that.
As of right now, Amazon is the only way, and eventually down the road, I'm going to be able to get it on my website at forrestneal.com. But it's just at this moment I have so much stuff that I have going on that it's really hard to focus on that. And really, I should pay somebody to do that. But for right now, Amazon's totally fine. I'm really, I don't want to sound like I'm taking a higher perspective or anything like that, but the money to me right now isn't really like what I'm focused on. I'm really focused on just sending this information to as many people as possible, however I can do that. And I wrote the book, and that's one way that we can do it. But many people like podcasts and documentaries and visual and audio stuff. So, that's why I like doing stuff like this, where, I can sort of give people a lot of the info that's in the book, but, maybe in a different way that they prefer listening to it. So this photo, if you see on the screen, her name is Kana, and she is a news reporter for a very large television broadcasting network in Thailand. And I was interviewed by her because she had watched my lecture, and she asked me all sorts of questions, about my experiences and how I've, benefited from meditation, because where she's from in Thailand, meditation, it's sort of like, brushing your teeth, it's like, of course you do it. For many people, I should say, it's sort of like just an everyday thing, but they really like hearing the American perspective, because, America is very different, but being able to find a way to relate back to what their practice is with meditation, it's sort of like we're forming a connection, with each other. And, it's very, very cool stuff. I've been interviewed a few times. This is at the Georgia Meditation Center in Atlanta. So I've been interviewed a few times there. Yeah. I was growing my hair out at this time. Yeah, well, I'm here in Alabama, so it's actually pretty cold right now. I mean, I'm sure it's freezing in Canada, but
no, it's warm here. It's weird. We don't even have any snow yet. It's supposed to. It got real cold at the beginning of the year, and then it's been
beautiful.
It's been beautiful. Yeah, it looks like it's coming to an end in the next couple days.
Really cold at the beginning of January this year.
It's probably going to be. Yeah, it's probably going to be brutally cold in January. Yeah, I think it's probably colder there than here right now.
I'm going to have to come, to Canada sometime. Where are you guys in Canada?
We're just outside of Calgary, Alberta.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I live in Mobile, Alabama, which is on the Gulf Coast. We're right on the water, basically. And it snowed here for the first time in 20 years last Saturday, I think. So
we just had the warmest day for December 10th or something like that in 132 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which makes you think it's global warming, but I wonder if they were saying that 132 years ago.
Who knows?
They were, because they knew it was an ice age like 11,000 years ago. Probably back
if they
then.
were celebrating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably got something to do with the Earth's tilt, or something to do with Graham and Randall's work. I'm sure it's got something to do with them.
Yeah, I'm trying to say Graham's calves.
Yeah.
Graham's calves are blocking out the sun. No, that'd be making it colder.
All right, let's change the subject. So did you get any? Did you go through any scientific studies and stuff like that in the book for the book?
Actually, in my presentation, which you can watch on my website, my lecture, if you go to forrestneal.com/lectures, you can scroll to the bottom one and you can watch my lecture that I gave. And I did speak about a few studies. There's a study at Harvard that has, basically concluded that meditation actually changes the way that your brain is structured and the way that it functions. It's an unbelievably, important study to come out and to validate the benefits of meditation, and for it to be at such a prestigious university like Harvard, it really sets a standard, or like a big checkpoint for people in the meditation community to share that what we're doing, like we're actually benefiting from it, and there's something to gain from sitting by yourself quietly and just doing nothing for a while. As contrary to belief as that might sound, doing nothing for a little while is actually very helpful. And like I said, through Harvard, there have been studies showing that it changes the way that your brain is wired and how it functions, on a day-to-day basis. And, there's also a guy, I can't remember his name. He was a monk. There will be many people who know his name. It's It's Matthew Richard, and I believe he was a doctor. He was a scientist, but he became a Buddhist monk and was essentially given the title of being the happiest man alive. And how they came to this idea was that they were measuring his brain waves. I believe it was through an fMRI, or it might have been just through an EEG. But he was able to control the part of his brain that stimulates feelings of peace, relaxation, and happiness in a way that science has never seen before. So he was given the title of the world's happiest man. And, you can totally research stuff on that. That's very, very cool stuff.
That sounds like a pretty good title to have. Sometimes I feel like the world's happiest man. I have moments.
Yeah. Yes, we all do. For those moments, we are certainly. But so very recently, I gave a meditation workshop where Dr. Nina and I collaborated. So for me, this is one of the biggest steps for validating my personal message, because to have somebody like her who's putting her name next to me, and we're both speaking, it really is. It's very helpful whenever you can share that, that you work with doctors and that, you give presentations, universities, and it just sounds like you really care about what you're studying, and that you have put a lot of effort into it, and that you're trying to make it as legitimate as possible. And that's what I really wanted to do, because there's a lot of spiritual cloud behind meditation, and there's a lot of, woo-woo stuff. But I really needed to collaborate with someone who is a medical professional so that I could show people that you don't have to necessarily do the spiritual practice of meditation to benefit from it in a huge way. There's many other ways. But so we gave the lecture at the University of South Alabama again only a few weeks ago, and we've had great feedback from it. There's
How often
several.
is that?
Well, they're not exactly scheduled. Dr. Nina is actually in Thailand right now, and she's on like a 3-week meditation retreat to gain some more training for when she comes back. But they're not exactly scheduled, but I typically do a few a year, but this coming up year, I really want to ramp it up, and I want to try to do at least 3 lectures or presentations, before March. So those will be very interesting. I'm going to go into a little bit of deeper stuff than what I will be presenting to you guys right now, but it will be very interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, when send us the dates, because we've definitely got quite a few listeners down on the Gulf Coast there.
That's excellent. Okay, so
actually, before you go ahead, I was going to say, that's like my main hang up is, is like, I'll sit on the couch and watch an episode of Planet Earth for the 50th fucking time while I'm playing on my computer, doing something that, is semi-important, but probably not really that important, messing around with something, Grimerica, or killing time, probably, because I'm too stubborn to go to bed until 11 o'clock. It's like my bedtime, which is probably later than it should be, but yeah, whatever. But for some reason, I just feel like just taking that time to go and do nothing is wasting it.
You know what? I was just going to ask him, kind of like, there is a point when you start doing that, you will crave it. You will crave that. It's not like I always crave it, but I've had moments where I just crave that quiet, doing nothing time. No. When you have the opportunity to do it, you'll crave it. So I was going to ask, Forrest if he noticed that when he started meditating, like craving that experience of just being quiet and still.
I still
with
do.
Nothing going on. And then also I wanted to ask you before you get in this presentation, well, actually I shouldn't distract you too much, but we talk about it in our group. There's a drop after 20 minutes. So like they call it the drop, where you kind of sink into a deeper state. And it usually happens between 18 and 22 minutes. Have you guys noticed that as well?
I've never gotten anywhere near that. Unless smoking giant joints counts.
Hey, that anything that you need to do, no. But I think that it's different for everybody. If you are experienced in meditation, then honestly, that drop that you're talking about, it's almost like it's instantaneous if you are experienced. Okay, so yeah. The moment that you begin meditating, if you are somebody who's been doing it, regularly, it's sort of like just opening and going next door, versus going down the street and, going to some destination, it's just right there. And go ahead.
Well, I bet you that relaxation techniques you talked about helps you get to that drop quicker. I bet you that drop is something to do with your body not being relaxed as you start.
Absolutely, yes. That definitely does have a lot to do with it. But, as far as like the whole 20 minutes goes, I mean, I would agree with that. I would say that, for the most part, that, during like a guided meditation, 20 minutes is usually the time when the person who's doing the guided meditation will sort of stop talking, and that there will be like a silence. And, usually by that time, most new people, you can see them, they're sort of getting into it. Maybe a few people, not all the way, but 20 minutes is 15, 20 minutes is sort of like a sweet spot where you've allowed yourself to relax away from a lot of the really big stuff that's on your mind. And now, like 15, 20 minutes in, it's sort of just like, the small little details of things that are coming to your mind. And I'm obviously, some people may not necessarily know exactly what I'm speaking about, but it's just, during the meditation, the thoughts that come to your mind are, they say a lot about you as a person. And typically, the first thoughts that you have whenever you're trying to relax are the thoughts that are most preventing you from relaxing. And then when you get past those thoughts, there are, small little details like, oh, I wish I, did this and said this to this person and, a long time ago. And, it's just small stuff, but it's easy to let go of those small things. So, but to answer your question about craving that calm and relaxation, it still happens. Like there's times when I'll go outside and there will be no clouds in the sky and the sun will be out, and I will just be feeling the rays from the sun. And I have to stop whatever I'm doing and face towards the sun and close my eyes and just take a few deep breaths. And it just feels amazing. So I definitely still have those cravings, and that's, you're gonna have those, for the rest of your life, because that's sort of like the most enjoyable state to be in, just that very calm and happy and confident, relaxed
Blissful
state of mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, let's get through your get that presentation going there. What is meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. So meditation is like doing a bicep curl for your brain. Yes. So this is a great way to, that I've used to share information with with personal trainers and, people who understand working out. It's very relatable in terms of meditation. So the exercise is, like doing a bicep curl, lifting the weight up and down, back and forth. It's sort of like we are allowing our thoughts to come as they will, and while they are coming, we are, performing our relaxing practice. But once we notice that the thoughts have sort of, taken over, that's sort of like when your arm is completely outstretched and it's time again to pull the weight backwards. So that's whenever you notice, okay, well, I'm not relaxing anymore, so I need to pull this attention back to myself and relax again and perform the relaxation technique. All right. And these are a few people who, highly advocate meditation. I mean, these are some of the most well-known people in the world, like Steve Jobs.
Let's see how many I can name.
Oh.
All right.
Steve Jobs, Russell Brand, Will Smith, Oprah Winfrey, Graham.
The Beatles?
Paul McCartney.
Beatles?
Is there a Paul McCartney in there? Phone a friend. Graham, you got one?
Yes,
Paul McCartney.
Who's a basketball player? Is that LeBron James?
Yes, and that is him meditating in the middle of the NBA Finals that he actually won.
I was gonna. If I got that wrong, oof, there would have been problems.
Yes,
I don't know who is
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
No.
Who's the lady? Is that not Quincy Jones?
That's Giselle. That's the most popular, most widely successful Victoria's Secret model that's ever lived. That's Tom Brady's wife.
That's right. And
who's
the guy with the sharp suit and the bow tie?
that is Russell Simmons. And he is a very widely successful entrepreneur. He's created so many brands, like Fat Farms. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but that's a pretty widely successful brand. And he's just a business magnet, and he's made lots of money. And also the man right above him, who's wearing like the denim shirt. That is Ray Dalio, who has led the hedge fund in charge of the most amount of money in the whole world. So, and he actually says that without meditation, his success would not have been possible. And that's what a lot of these people are saying, and these are only a few people. There are so many people that are coming out and saying like meditation is something like it's actually pretty cool, and we can benefit from it. And a lot of them are saying like I wouldn't be the success that I am without it. And it's just like how I was saying LeBron. There's the picture of him and he's meditating right there. Just eyes closed, taking deep breaths while he's sitting during a timeout. I remember watching this on TV. He was, this was like 50 seconds left in the game, and I think they were down or something. It was very close. But he, returned to his meditative practice, and they actually, as far as I can remember, I'm pretty confident that he actually did end up winning that game. But I know that overall they did end up winning those finals whenever, in this series where he's seen meditating. There's lots of other professional athletes who advocate for it. So
you know what? You know who used to do it all the time is the little short player like you, the hockey player, Martin St. Louis.
Oh yeah,
he used to always. I remember because that bastard.
He's
beat
still
us.
quite a bit taller than me, probably.
He beat us in the finals.
Oh, did he?
And he would go out when everyone else was doing their warm-ups. He goes out and meditates.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I like how people aren't afraid to do it anymore. Like, there's no stigma around it. It's not looked down upon anymore. It's acknowledged and accepted that that's a legitimate way to get into the zone or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I'd say it is now where yoga was
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, I didn't know what the fuck yoga was.
You're just finding out about meditation, so it's about 20. That's about right.
Oh, stop it.
It's actually a great point that you brought up about yoga, because meditation, technically, the half lotus position is a yoga position. It's actually just one that you would stay in for much, much longer.
Do you have to be in that position? Is that a prerequisite?
No, you can sit in a chair. I've sat in a chair and meditated before several times. I mean, if you have issues with your legs or your hips or whatever, sitting in your chair. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and of course, if none of that works, you could also try the sensory deprivation chambers, which I've tried, and they're unbelievable too. Like I'm going to speak more about them, in my next presentation, that I was telling you guys about. It's just like the next level, So, but what I was saying about the yoga stuff is that yoga is meditation. The half lotus position is a yoga position. And this slide that I have on the screen is the Pareto principle. And it's sort of like
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, what are the small amount of tasks that I can do that give me the most results? Or like, what's the most important thing for me to do that if I just did that, I really wouldn't have to worry about much else. I wouldn't have to worry about the small details. And it's
I didn't know
like
about that aspect of it. Actually, I was more familiar with the
so many employees. 20% of your employees are responsible for half of your productivity.
10% or 5% of your employees are responsible for
that kind of
or some 80% of your productivity.
So what he's relating it to is 20% of whatever you do is responsible for 80% of the results. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's correct. Yes, and in particular, these are a few different yoga positions. You have legs on the wall, downward facing dog, the mountain, child's pose, and the lotus, just like I was talking about.
I could do three of those. Comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are all different yoga positions that are meant to handle stress. But if you notice, the one that's in the middle is the meditation position. It's the lotus position. It is the 20%. That one position is the greatest thing that you could do to put yourself in a posture where you are in a relaxed state of mind. So
that
sitting in a chair. Yeah. So sitting in a chair, that's, it's helpful, but the main difference is blood flow. When you're in the lotus position, your legs are laying on top of one another in a way where blood can flow freely from your brain, through your body to your toes and back without being constricted. So it's the best way for you to just feel the relaxing flow of energy moving up and down your body, simply by not having to be distracted by your leg falling asleep, or there might be a pain in your lower back or something like that. The lotus position is absolutely by far the position, if you can do it, the one that will give you the greatest chance of having a relaxing experience. But if you have to sit in a chair, that's totally acceptable. Just try to keep your legs at a 90-degree angle. Don't stretch them out forward or put them under your kneecaps, like towards the bottom of the chair. Just try to put them straight down from where your knees are extended out from the chair.
Okay, good to know. I should just really work on my flexibility.
All right, so these are just a few. It's really whatever works for you, man. But so these are just some of the benefits, and I'll just go over these very quickly. Meditation can help you to reduce pain and enhance your body's immune system, which I don't know if you guys know who Wim Hof is, but he's done some unbelievable things through meditation to increase his body's immune system. He's been able to fight off viruses that were administered to him through, by researchers. And he was able to fight them off, these viruses, by using meditation techniques. So that's, it's very interesting, and I would highly recommend that you look that guy up. He's a great inspiration for what I do.
Didn't he climb Everest in his shorts or something too?
Yes, yeah, yes, and he's ran marathons in the desert with no water, and the list just goes on and on for what this guy's accomplished.
You should try and do that, girl.
So just a few more of these benefits. It reduces your stress, increases your energy, and provides a sense of calm, peace, and balance. And a really big one, it increases blood flow and slows the heart rate, and it helps reverse heart disease. So these are benefits that you can experience, medically, just, through meditation. This is not talking about how you will be more creative or more focused, or, whatever else that you would like to attribute your practice towards. These are the benefits that you will gain just by learning to practice this, on top of whatever you choose to use it for.
What about, is there any longevity studies that you live longer or anything like that?
Whenever it comes to, meditation, I have to say that would be a study that, I'm not aware of a study that really validates that, because I think if that study came out, that would be like an unbelievably huge finding to come out with, but I mean, it's sort of believed within the community and, within, people who practice it, throughout their whole lives that, it extends the amount of life that that you're going to have, and of course, accidents are going to happen, and we never know when things. It's just going to be the end, but I would say that most certainly it limits the amount of things that could kill you. So in that way, yes. But as far as an official study, that remains to be seen. But I would almost certainly, believe that it does.
It'd probably be tough to control because I would imagine most people that are meditating on a regular basis are probably, and this might come off as pretentious. I guess I don't meditate, so it can't be pretentious. But I imagine they're just healthier lifestyles in general. I strike it like most people I know that meditate or maybe exercise a little more regularly, eating a little healthier, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everyone. It's sort of like you're giving yourself the attention that you're giving yourself a level of attention that just through your day-to-day stuff you wouldn't be able to have. So you begin to notice more about how you feel whenever you're eating certain foods. Like, you might feel tired or you might feel like crap after you eat a donut or a whole box of them. Or, for like me, after I started meditating, to be quite honest, my drinking has gone down a lot, because I drink like maybe one beer or maybe half a beer. And I don't know how. I get a headache and I don't necessarily enjoy it, as much as I did. And that's just me, I mean, everyone else, might be different, but basically I've just formed a very low tolerance for noticing whenever, things are changing inside of me. So I would agree, typically people are living healthier lifestyles because you just give yourself a lot more attention to how you're feeling,
Yeah, exactly. You're more cognizant of, probably your regrets after a night of hard drinking.
Not only that, but you just feel better naturally, and you don't want to go back to that space where you're fucked up unnaturally. Or that's the way I feel anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. No, that's a great point to make. It's something that you just learn over time. But so after practicing meditation, for a while, I really became interested in how I could, apply it in my daily life. And so if you look at the two people standing on the right side of me, it's a lady and an older gentleman, and that is Dr. Kent and Dr. Kay Welsh. And they are retired psychologists who lead a meditation class at the meditation center. But their class is a little more advanced. So I began going to their classes, and in their class, got the strange idea that I really want to put to the test my ability to meditate and to relax and be calm and happy at any moment that I want, like literally any moment, like during the middle of a test or during the middle of, the rush hour during, when I was working, at restaurants, or, I wanted to be able to break through all of the chaos that I was surrounded with and find a happy moment of peace, while I'm being surrounded by all that chaos. And going to their class, I had a realization, of like the perfect thing that I could do that would really validate my ability to prove it to myself that this meditation technique really works, and really to prove it to others.
Cool.
So I
You look very peaceful.
Yes. Well, thank you. This is me meditating in the median of the busiest street in Mobile, Alabama. It's called Airport Boulevard. It's like where all the malls are. It's where all the restaurants are, everything. And I would go at the busiest hours, in the median and meditate for, an hour or 2 hours. And this was at 7 a.m. So this was like when everyone's, going to work and you're in their cars and they're in their, get ready for this, this horrible day or, for whatever it is, for a lot of those people, I'm sure like they're really excited, but I know for a lot of those people, they're really stressing that it's Monday and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and they have to go to work, but I'm in the middle of all of that and I'm reaching relaxing states of mind. I mean, these people are driving 40, 45 miles an hour, only a few feet away from me. And the way that this photo was taken, it makes the median look a lot bigger than it actually was. But, if I stretched my arm out and I leaned in the direction that I was stretching my arm, I could basically touch the gravel of the road where these cars are driving. So they're very, very close to me. I'm feeling the wind blow off of the car and hit me. And, there's the smells of restaurants in the air and, people are honking at me and saying things to me, like yelling out of their windows. And
compliments mostly, or?
Oh, I live in the South, so, I get a lot of, people saying like Jesus saves and lots of stuff that people think, I'm doing something that goes against their beliefs, but it's completely the opposite. I mean, meditation, you could totally incorporate it into Christian beliefs or, whatever beliefs that you have. It's getting closer, to who you really are, and that forms a stronger bond with you and your spiritual practice. But, anyways, I'm distracted by so much surrounding me externally. And there are lots of internal distractions that I have that, we all deal with. Like I was saying earlier, thinking about things that people said to me that make me feel bad, or thinking about what I'm going to, say to my really stressful boss whenever I go to work, later in the day. And, of course, there was also the thought, like, what would the people who know me think if they saw me meditate, for however long in the middle of the street like this? I mean, they sort of, people in the South, meditation is just now breaking out into the South. So this is very new. I mean, so there's a lot of people that I had to worry about, like, who were going to say things to me like, I saw you, sitting in the middle of the street, like, you look like an idiot. What are you doing? I mean, like I almost thought the same way too. Like, whenever the idea came to my mind, I was thinking, like, why is it that meditating in the middle of the street is the answer? And it's almost like whenever I first sat down, I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I ended up, the first time that I did it, having one of the most unbelievable experiences that I could ever describe to you guys, through meditation. It was unbelievably powerful. Once I got through all the anxiety of being where I was, it's almost like I was swimming in an ocean. Everything was just, it was just all together. And, there are service roads that lead to these main roads where, you see people driving in the direction, backwards and then driving in the direction forwards. There are service roads that lead to these main roads. And I relaxed so well and I was at peace, and I could notice the the patterns of the traffic that were going by. So I could notice when it was a line of traffic at the main light that was driving past me, and also when it was just people getting off on the service road, and it was a much smaller group than people who were in line from the main road. So it's sort of like I began to notice the structure of the traffic that I was surrounded by. And going on a larger and larger scale, I begin to notice the patterns and the structure of, the way that the Earth rotates around the sun, and the way that the sun spirals around the Milky Way, and the way that we're all just
Allegedly.
sort of in the middle of allegedly. The way that we're all just sort of in the middle of this gigantic symphony that's taking place,
And we're all
and there's
connected.
so much.
Yeah.
There's so much that's going on right now at this very moment that we have no idea about, that our minds, we can't comprehend how much is going on outside of, what's going on just right now.
So that's
what
interesting
we're
to me
focused on.
because that really sounds similar to like an
Psychedelic?
LSD or a psilocybin experience where you can kind of step outside yourself and start taking a look at. I mean, I remember times when I was on LSD, like even being able to see like the thought processes and mannerisms and little like fucking goofy little anecdotes and twitches that my friends had, you know what I mean? And you could almost see like the repetition of their body motions and fucking
Like seeing bigger patterns. or
yeah,
something.
exactly, or stepping back. Yeah, exactly like he's discussing being able to do in the middle of the freeway.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it in the middle of the freeway on acid. Well, I couldn't do it at all because my acid days are behind me.
Well, and imagine the effect you had on other people just seeing you and seeing how relaxed you are in the middle of that chaos, and maybe you affected people to just try relax themselves. I mean, maybe a bunch of people took a deep breath that day, and that's all it takes to bring a little bit more awareness to their situation. If you can just sit there peacefully in the middle of all that, then maybe that triggered a bunch of other people to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. There were many people. I've done this several times where I'll meditate in the middle of the street for hours at a time, and there will be lots of people who the meditation center is very close to where I'm meditating in this picture. So there will be lots of people who would see me, and then they would go to the meditation center and they would talk to the people who, I mean, these were people who have never tried meditation before, never, didn't really know a whole lot about it, but they see me and they're immediately intrigued, and then they go to the meditation center and they begin, asking questions and learning more, and maybe even begin practicing. And to be honest, that really wasn't what my goal was. Like, I didn't do this to get attention or anything like that. Like, it was really to figure out myself and to figure out like what meditation really is. And just like how you were describing, with the LSD experiences, it's almost exactly like that. And a lot of, I would say that meditation, LSD is like taking an elevator up to, the highest level, like, to the orbit of the Earth, and you're having this great perspective of everything that's going on around you. But once you take the elevator, you have to come down, whereas, and you come down quickly, but through meditation, it's like taking the stairway up to the great perspective that you had, just like when you were on LSD, but it takes much longer for you to come down that stairwell once you've gone all the way up. And so you experience the whole calm, relaxed, and widely aware state of mind for a long time. I mean, you begin to implement that idea of being in a large awareness into your daily life, because I've done LSD before, and, I've experienced that, and I mean, I enjoyed it, but I wanted to find a way to have similar experiences that maybe weren't as frightening at times. And of course, I can't be taking a psychedelic that lights my brain up like a light bulb for the rest of my life, it's another reason why I became interested in meditation, because it gave me the same perspective as whenever I was on LSD, but it allowed me to maintain that perspective, for weeks, months, for as long as I'm practicing meditation. It's like one continuous, I guess to relate it, it would be like one continuous trip that just never ends, but it's much more manageable, it's much more enjoyable, and you can benefit from it much greater than, taking a drug. And it's just much more advised by medical professionals.
Currently.
Right on.
I think psilocybin's making a comeback, baby.
Yeah, probably much.
Maybe not LSD.
Yeah, LSD.
But psilocybin.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely not somebody who wants to shut down the effectiveness of psychedelics, because they have opened up a world to me that would not have been possible without them. But there is certainly a way that you can have a very similar experience without the whole anxiety of the experience, while you're tripping. So I began meditating a lot in the middle of the street, and I wanted to find a way to show other people that this actually works, and that it's not just me fooling myself, and that there's actually something going on in my brain that is different from whenever I'm just in a normal wake state of mind where we're just like having a conversation. I was able to measure my brain waves while I was meditating in the middle of the street, and I was able to do it with a product called the Muse Meditation Brain Sensing Headband, and it's essentially a mobile EEG machine that, like I said, allows you to measure your brain waves. And by putting myself in the extremely chaotic circumstance of sitting in the middle of the street, cars passing by you, smells food in the air, thinking about what people would think if they saw me, all that stuff, I was able to show that in that state, in that circumstance, I was still, for the majority of the time, able to remain in a relaxed and restful state of mind. And so you can see, if you look on these charts, it's divided into three sections: the active state of mind, which is really like the
that's probably where I spend most of my day.
That's where most people spend most of their day. That is that's generally like when you're having a conversation with somebody, or when you are actively working on something, or just when you're in an active state of mind. And then the other two, yes, contemplating. The other two are the neutral and calm states of mind. And so neutral is sort of like in between, like almost relaxing, but, not necessarily at that level just yet. But the calm is where you are definitely in a deep and relaxed state. And, if you notice, there are at certain points some pretty big spikes going up and down in the neutral and the calm areas. And this is where people would honk their horns at me, and I would just be shocked up for a second. But then I would immediately go straight back down into a calm and relaxed state of mind.
That's really interesting.
I imagine there's a lot of honks.
Well, it depends on the time of day, and whenever whatever people are feeling like. But I think people, the thing is, they like to get as close as they can to me before they honk, because they really want to see me like jump. and I've just gotten to the point where I sort of expect it now, so it will make me sort of have to, it will wake me up and make me have to like go back to my practice and relax again. But I don't jump anymore like I once did. And the fact that I'm not jumping whenever a car is like 5 feet away from me going 40 miles an hour and honking their horn at me is like, it's almost like that's not the way things should be. But that just tells you how much I have trained my mind to do these things. And by the way, I'm somebody who supposedly needed ADHD medications in order to function in society like a normal person. I was somebody who this is just to be able to relax. I remember it, just to be able to relax. It was incredibly difficult. I always needed to be doing something, like always moving, constantly, talking or thinking, or, never a moment of just chilling and just doing nothing. And it was just, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say it shows you a good example of how much potential there is with this and a lot of people, right? And healing and there's doctors now getting involved, which is great. I've heard a couple other doctors trying to get people off of medication through cognitive, stuff and meditation. And, I was just thinking the other day too, a couple of our Reiki teachers here in Calgary, like my Reiki teacher's a doctor, and I know another doctor, psychiatrist who started out in the spiritual type meditation stuff. So there's a real like cross discipline thing happening here, and I think what you're doing is really important work.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Because it's so meaningful to me to see people who come to meditation class and who have just unbelievable experiences. Like we were talking about the lady before this podcast started. It was a lady who had lots of emotional issues going on with her life. And, for very good reasons. She was a veteran, so she had seen a lot of things. She had a lot of PTSD and anxiety. But she had never come to the meditation center. This was her first time, and this was earlier today. This was like right before this podcast started. So she comes to the meditation class, begins meditating, and towards the end of the meditation, where we're coming back to the aware state of mind where, our eyes are open and we're stretching and we're beginning to stand up, I can hear her whimpering and crying, and, I'm thinking like, what's going on? Something really big must be happening. And so she walks up, stands up and walks out of the room. And, I thought like, did we do something wrong? Or, I really didn't think we did anything wrong, because all we were doing is just sitting around and doing nothing. But I was very interested. I was going to go speak with her after the meditation, but she ended up coming back before the meditation ended. And afterwards, she got everybody in the room's attention, and she just thanked every single person in the room who she really didn't even know. And she thanked them, and she let them know how much of a great experience that she had. And she's got tears rolling down her eyes while she's giving this speech to people. And to help people like that, and to help people who are in a situation it's very similar to mine. It's just unbelievably meaningful work, and I'm so just thankful, for what I do. I want to do this for my life, so I greatly appreciate your kind words.
It definitely seems like you found your calling and you're passionate about it. So I'm hoping some of our southern listeners will come and check out one of your seminars. And we'll have to have you back on again, and we can do this again down the road and keep in touch. And unfortunately, we are just about out of time.
You know what? That's just fine. I was just about to ask you how we were doing. I wasn't able to get into the meditation techniques, but if you can totally learn about that by going to my website at forrestneal.com. And I have all of my information. I have my lectures, and I have a short little course that you can follow that will, if you're a complete beginner, will allow you to have a great meditation experience. It was all engineered to give somebody who's never practiced before a great experience the first time that they tried it. So it's totally okay that we weren't able to go over that information this time, maybe next time, but you can totally find it by going to my website.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that'll be in the show notes as always. If people just swipe right or whatever they have to do to get to the show notes on their podcast playing app, the link will be right there. And I would definitely like to. This went really well. We should do this again.
Yeah, let's do it again after one of his newer presentations when he includes the sensory deprivation stuff. And we'll get into it again.
Yes, and that's going to be the first of the new presentations that I'll be giving. So that will be pretty early on in the beginning of the year. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Beautiful.
Right on. Alrighty, so thanks for coming on. We'll link to everything in the show notes, and you have yourself a good night.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. Take care.
No, thank you. This went great. Like I said, I'd be happy to do this again down the road. Yeah, this was super.
Okay, we'll just say goodbye to everybody.
Not only that, hopefully, I'm sure you'll get some emails from some other shows after this as well. So if you don't mind if I share your email with some other hosts, that I'm sure will contact me and try and get in touch with you.
Absolutely, yes. You can totally do that.
Perfect. Okay, well, awesome. Thanks, Forrest. Thanks for coming on the show. And what's that, Graham?
The
YouTube? Yeah. I'll shut that down after. I've lost my cursor on the bottom screen.
Sorry, I had to get on my phone a little bit this time, too. There was a gas leak at home, so I had to deal with that a little bit.
Is everyone okay?
Yeah, everyone's okay.
Right on. So big thanks to Forrest for coming on the show. He's another one of the guests that were a listener that we just randomly stumbled upon because of the John Anthony West fundraiser. And
we can do
just
the
turns
outro
out to be
later.
fantastic. This is the outro. We're doing the outro right now. No, it's too late now. It's happening. So just get on board.
Okay. That was great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I needed some more inspiration for meditation as well. So
I'm thinking this might have been the inspiration I needed.
Good. Right
maybe
on.
I'll give it a whirl in the new year. Over the Christmas break would be a good time to maybe try and do some relaxing.
Yeah. Right on. Good.
So
we should do it together one day. I'll guide.
No,
I'll guide it.
No, you're not guiding me anywhere, bro. Sorry. No offense. Big thanks to the guys for coming into the live chat, which I'm shutting down right now. But yeah, that's thanks.